The rain had been falling for hours, a soft, unbroken whisper against the roofs of the small town of Hazelridge. Streetlights flickered dimly through the mist, and puddles gathered at the edges of cobblestone streets, reflecting the muted glow like fragments of forgotten stars. Inside a tiny bakery on the corner of Elm Street, an old woman named Clara sat behind the counter, her hands folded neatly on the wooden surface, her eyes fixed on the single candle that burned beside her register. It was an old habit of hers, lighting a candle every morning before opening the bakery, a small flame of warmth to greet whoever might wander in. Some said it was a superstition, others thought it was just for comfort, but to Clara, that candle meant something deeper. It was for her late husband, Thomas, who had once told her that kindness was like a flame, it spreads warmth to others but never truly diminishes itself. Years had passed since Thomas's death, but Clara had kept her promise. She baked bread for the hungry, gave away cakes to children who couldn't afford them, and greeted everyone with a smile, even when the loneliness of her empty home pressed heavy on her heart. Hazelridge was small, and people came and went, but Clara's bakery, Sweet Hearth, remained constant, a place where weary souls could find warmth not only from the oven but from the heart behind it. That morning, as the rain drummed gently outside, Clara noticed a boy standing near the doorway, soaked to the bone. He looked no older than 12, with thin arms, tangled hair, and shoes that had long surrendered to the mud. She waved him in without a word. "You'll catch your death standing there," she said softly, her voice a blend of tenderness and command. The boy hesitated, as though unused to kindness. Then, slowly, he stepped inside. Clara took a towel from the back and draped it around his shoulders. "Sit down, dear. You look like you haven't eaten since yesterday." He opened his mouth as if to protest, then closed it, ashamed. His stomach growled before he could answer, betraying him. Clara only smiled. "Soup first," she said, already ladling from a pot that simmered gently behind the counter. The air filled with the scent of vegetables and herbs. "Then you can tell me your name." The boy ate quietly, his eyes darting toward the door every so often, as if expecting someone to burst in and drag him away. When he finished, he wiped his mouth with the back of his sleeve and muttered, "Liam." "Liam," she repeated, the name soft on her tongue. "Do you have anywhere to go?" He shook his head. "Not really. I was staying with my uncle for a while, but he drinks. I left." Clara felt her heart twist. She'd seen enough in her long life to know what that meant. "You're welcome to stay here until the rain stops," she said gently. "I could use a helper, if you're willing." Liam's eyes widened. "You mean it?" "I never say what I don't mean," she replied. And so, from that day forward, Liam began coming to Sweet Hearth every morning. He swept the floors, carried trays, helped knead the dough, and in return, Clara gave him meals and a safe place to rest in the small attic above the shop. The townsfolk were curious, of course. They whispered at first, about the boy who came from nowhere, about the old woman who took him in, but eventually, they accepted it. Kindness, they said, was simply Clara's way. Under Clara's patient hands, Liam learned not just how to bake, but how to care. She showed him how to measure flour with precision, how to fold dough with gentleness, and how to greet every customer as if they were family. At night, when the bakery closed and the streets outside went quiet, they would sit by the small candle that always burned on the counter, sharing stories. Clara told him about Thomas, about how they had built the bakery together from nothing, how Thomas used to sing as he kneaded bread, and how he'd light a candle every evening, saying, "This little light reminds us to be good, even when the world forgets." Liam listened to those stories like they were treasures, pieces of a world he had never known. "Do you think kindness really lasts, Miss Clara?" he asked one night, watching the candle flicker. She smiled faintly. "It does, Liam. Maybe not always where you expect, but it lingers, in hearts, in memories, in the quiet things people do without realizing why." Months passed. The seasons shifted. The rain gave way to snow, and Hazelridge turned white and silent. Sweet Hearth became a haven from the cold. Travelers, neighbors, and children all came to warm themselves by its ovens and share laughter over slices of pie. And always, the candle burned. But as winter deepened, Clara began to tire more easily. Her hands trembled when she kneaded dough, and her steps grew slower. She brushed it off when Liam worried, insisting it was just age, but one morning, she didn't come down to open the shop. Liam found her sitting in her chair by the window, her face peaceful, the candle burning beside her. She opened her eyes weakly when he entered. "Liam," she whispered, her voice as soft as the flame's breath. "You've been such a blessing." "Don't talk like that," he said quickly, kneeling beside her. "You just need to rest. I'll take care of the shop today." Clara smiled faintly, her gaze drifting toward the flickering candle. "Promise me something," she murmured. "Anything. When I'm gone, you'll keep it burning. Every morning, every night. Let it remind you that there's always light to give." Tears blurred Liam's vision, but he nodded. "I promise." That night, as snow fell thick and silent outside, Clara's candle burned a little lower, and when morning came, she was gone. The town mourned her deeply. Hazelridge had lost not just a baker, but its quiet heart. People brought flowers to Sweet Hearth, their eyes wet, their hands trembling. They spoke of her kindness, her warmth, her laughter, and how she had made even the coldest days feel like home. Liam kept the bakery open, though it felt emptier without her gentle humming in the background. Each day, he lit the same candle, just as he had promised. Customers would often pause before it, remembering Clara in silence. And slowly, her presence began to live again through the boy she had saved. Years passed. Liam grew into a man. The little bakery flourished, not because it sold the best bread, but because it carried the warmth of Clara's spirit in every loaf. The candle, replaced countless times but never extinguished, still burned by the register, its flame dancing like a heartbeat. One spring afternoon, a woman entered the bakery with a small child tugging at her skirt. She looked weary, the kind of tiredness that came from life's long road. Liam smiled at her in the way Clara once had. "Welcome to Sweet Hearth," he said. "Can I get you something warm?" The woman hesitated, glancing at the prices on the chalkboard. "Just a loaf of bread, please." As she reached into her worn purse, Liam noticed the child staring at the candle with wide eyes. "That's pretty," the little girl said. "Why do you have it?" Liam crouched beside her, smiling gently. "It's for someone who believed that kindness never fades," he said softly. "It's a reminder to keep giving, even when it's hard." The woman swallowed hard, blinking back tears. "You sound like someone I used to know," she whispered. When she tried to pay, Liam shook his head. "This one's on the house," he said. "Eat it while it's warm. It'll taste better that way." The woman's eyes widened in gratitude, and for a moment, she looked like Clara, older, wearier perhaps, but carrying that same spark of quiet strength. After they left, Liam stood behind the counter, staring at the candle's flame. The air felt still, almost sacred. And in that stillness, he could almost hear her voice again. "Kindness doesn't end with us, Liam. It becomes part of others." He smiled, his heart full and aching all at once. The years rolled on, and the bakery passed from Liam to his daughter, and from her to her son. Generations came and went, and Hazelridge grew into a bustling town, but the little shop on Elm Street remained. Its walls had been repainted, its ovens replaced, yet one thing never changed, the candle that burned by the counter. No matter who owned the place, the story of Clara lived on. Parents told their children about the old baker who gave away bread to the hungry. Travelers spoke of the warmth that never faded from Sweet Hearth. And in every act of quiet kindness that passed through the town, someone offering an umbrella, someone helping an old neighbor cross the street, the flame burned a little brighter. One evening, many decades later, when the town was lit by electric lights and most had forgotten the name Clara, a young man named Ethan, descendant of Liam, locked up the bakery after closing. As he turned to leave, the candle caught his eye. It had burned low, its wax nearly gone. For a moment, he considered blowing it out. But something stopped him. He looked out the window at the people hurrying past, the tired worker, the mother with her child, the old man sitting alone on a bench, and he remembered the story his grandmother had told him when he was little. A single flame can outlive generations, if it's passed through hearts instead of hands. So he found another candle, lit it from the first, and placed it beside the old one. The flame grew steady again, bright and gentle. And outside, as if sensing the light, the night seemed a little less cold. In Hazelridge, they say the bakery's window still glows long after midnight, long after the ovens have cooled. Some claim it's just habit, others whisper that the flame has never truly gone out. But those who know the story, the true story, smile quietly and say that kindness, like a candle lit in love, never fades. Because long after the rain has stopped falling, and the years have washed away the footprints of those who first walked the cobbled streets, there will always be a light burning in sweet hearth, reminding every soul that passes by that warmth, once shared, is eternal.